So, Colleen, in 2003, God called us to go to America. And while we're there, we never thought that He will call us to come back to Romania.
Yeah.
But in 2011, He asked us to move back to Romania.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was the returning back here for you like?
Wow. Well, it was like being on a roller coaster because it was so exciting that God wanted to use us again, and that it was the whole fearful anticipation, like the drops and the turns on the roller coaster. And it was a blessing that all of us were on board. I was definitely surprised at how there were a lot of Western things now. Once we returned, there's still the old buildings falling down, and communist blocks and all of that. But I couldn't believe there was Starbucks at the mall. There's 2 malls in Cluj. There was tortillas. Remember, we used to have to make them by hand. So there was a lot of new surprises because they had joined the EU and the West had come in with all their stuff. But on the other hand, it was really sad to see all the false faiths that had come in along with that, like some of the books in the Christian bookstores, and even certain agendas being pushed and stuff. So that was.
So what were some of the difficulties? Were those some of the difficulties, things of coming back?
That was a little bit of the outside difficulty. The inside difficulty, maybe for me personally, was that I was pushing against God, constantly looking back at what I had left behind, instead of looking forward and to the right here and now of what God was doing right here and now at the beginning. Once the Lord helped me get past all of that, then my eyes really opened up to what He had here for me and for us as a family. And the other difficulties was that I started having worse migraines and and some other health issues that would come up after a couple of years of being here. So that's hard. It's stressful being in a foreign country, having health issues. It's not the same health system as you're used to in America. And I had to have a procedure done, and coming out of anesthesia and hearing people speak in Romanian and Hungarian, which I don't know Hungarian, but I do know Romanian. And just because your brain has to translate that, it made it even more stressful. So those were a couple of the difficulties coming back.
It's interesting because I had the difficulty of moving to America. I did not want to move to America, but after I saw the things that you went through, the difficulties of the health that you went through here after James was born, I knew that God wanted us to go to America. So although I kind of resisted in the beginning of going there, while we were there, I saw so many blessings that God had for us in there. So when we came back in here, because I went there knowing that God wanted us to move to America, we moved back here. We all knew that God wanted us to move back here. So what were some of the blessings that you saw in returning back here?
Some of the blessings definitely was the fact that what I was pushing and resisting Him for, He showed me that was my blessing, what He had for me here, that this was a place where He and I had really sweet communion together, and my life is flowing with milk and honey because I'm where He wants me to be. We're where He wants us to be. So stop resisting Him and letting Him to do the work and the change and the teaching that He wanted to do. And then the other one would be the fact that as a family, what sweet times we've had together. We've gone through hard things with the ministries and the things around us and what we see around us day to day. But man, what growing and learning opportunities it has been for our children. And now to have 2 adult children walking with the Lord, what more could I ask for?
Yeah. So is there a difference that you see in the 2 cultures?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, definitely when Americans come here, you either love it or you can't wait to get home. Right? Am I right about that? Especially where we live.
Yeah.
Because Cluj has lots of comforts and lots of other things, but where we live right now, it's a little bit harder. And we live in a rough community, what's considered to be a rough community and rough area of Romania. And yeah, definitely not only the cultural things with who eats lunch for breakfast, right?
I do.
You do. So salami, cheese, onions, and bread for breakfast. I walk into, remember the first conference we went to, and I walk in and they're serving that, and I'm like, well, where's the pancakes? Where's the pancakes? But hey, coffee, really good here. We have Italian coffees here, and they are excellent. But and the governments, I'm American. I love my country. Things don't. What do I hear all the time when we have to talk with the police or somebody? Ma'am, this is not America. Ma'am, this is not America. I'm like, I'm fully aware that this is not America, but there's some basic day-to-day things that we would hope would be like human things or moral things, But it definitely opened my eyes to cultures, seeing these two cultures and these governments. Definitely opened my eyes that there are two sides to every story. There are two points of view to everything, and we need to. I won't always understand how your people think and do things. I will not. I am accustomed to another way. But I can ask God for his point of view. And I think God's point of view is what really matters. And so where I'm wrong, I want him to correct me on those things. And you learn to let some of those little things just go. I think that was a big lesson for me. Americans were used to things being a certain way, and when they're not that way, we're like, why isn't it not that way? And you have to learn to let a lot of the little stuff go. And last point would be, I've learned a lot from Romanians, and I think they've learned a lot from me too. I think both countries have good and bad things to offer each other.
The other day I was talking with a police officer, and he said, well, this is not Germany. He said, yeah, you're right, this is Romania, and let's make it better than Germany, right? So, I mean, you see how it's in Romania. I saw how it's in America. We went through difficult times in Romania. We went through difficult times in America. We had blessings in Romania. We had blessings in America. So I will say that as long as you respond to God's call and you are where God called you, where God put you, then you are in the right place. There are plants that if you put them in sun, they will just fade, they will just die, because they love wet areas where it's a lot of water. And there are plants that if you put them in a wet area, they will just be destroyed because they love sun. And looks like for us, God is putting us to the sun, to the rain, is moving us all over the place.
The sun, just to be clear.
Like the sun.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the sun too. But it's great when He's taking us somewhere. Where it's raining, He's gonna give us a umbrella. So
good point, honey. Good point.
We don't need to worry. But when you look to challenges and you look to blessings, I mean, you cannot even compare, because the challenges that God is taking us through. He is walking us He is walking with us through the challenges. And the blessings of obeying Him and being where it's putting us are excellent.
Amen.
Although I thought going to America was hard, it was a blessing. Although we thought coming back to Romania will be a challenge, it is a blessing.
It is, yeah. Amen.